Mack, how you been?
I'm good. I'm just working at the new job and it's great. And I'm working on the video and it's great. And everything's kind of great right now.
Nice. I've had a little bit of goofiness. Some hilarious, some a little to update on a story that I had previously told, and some a little bit scary. So
Scary?
I got a little, yeah. I guess I'll start out with that. I had a little bit of an episode a couple weeks ago. It was the Friday morning that we recorded the last episode. I got up, per usual, and actually it was a little bit of a weird morning. I wanted to get out super, super early, but when I got up, I had like no water whatsoever. Like hot or cold, like nothing was coming out.
That's a great start to the day.
Yeah, and it was a cold morning, and I will backtrack for just a second. The night before, I kind of started coming down with like a cold. My nose was running and I was sneezing and I was just tired. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go to bed. I passed out on the couch. Fell asleep, I should say. Fell asleep on the couch and then woke up, took Lily out, went to bed. Got up. All I wanted was a hot shower. You know, when you're sick, that just feels so good. So I have no water, but I'm up.
What? Real quick question. I don't remember if you've ever talked about this.
Yeah.
Showers. Are you like turn it up to boiling, motherfucker, or do you like err on the side of caution?
I generally err on the side of caution.
See, I boil myself. I get it so goddamn hot in there.
No, I will sometimes, but I have to like ease into it. I can't go in too hot, literally. It's got to be like a nice hot, and then I'll slowly crank it up as I'm in there. But,
all right.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just have that like sensitive skin, but it takes me forever to like acclimate to the hot water. But once I do, then I want it to get hotter.
I think I've abused my skin too much, so I just walk right into that shit.
Oh, damn. No, I do the same thing. Like if someone were to like throw cold water on me, where I like start like dancing around trying to avoid it. Yeah. Breakroom Nachos, home of shower talk. So anyway, all I wanted was a hot shower. It probably would have been one of those super, super hot showers at that moment in my life. But again, I had no water and I was just like, oh God, I feel gross. I can't take a shower. I'm just going to sit here for a minute. Maybe it'll come back on. So like 20 minutes go by and I was literally just like sitting on my bed, like playing on my phone, kind of like getting the day planned out. And I hear like the toilet start running and I'm like, oh, thank God the water's back. So I check, sure enough, there's hot water, get in the shower, get it done. I'm
now,
still
did your building like warn you that there was going to be no water, or did it just kind of happen?
No, it just kind of happened.
Was it just like cold related, or?
I have no idea. There was never any sort of like, hey, sorry about that. We acknowledge that this happened. Nothing.
Nice.
But yet, last week when we had a potential snowstorm, which ended up, I think, only being maybe like an inch or so, they sent out 3 notifications not to park with your bumper hanging over the sidewalk because it makes it hard to clear.
I've seen notifications like that before.
Yeah, well, they sent out 3 of them within 5 minutes, and
Oh,
they all go out as emails and through the app, which I'm pretty sure I need to have to make like rent payments. And when they go through my phone, the way that they sent those, they come through with like the same notification like an Amber Alert would, to where it like,
no, that's so annoying.
yep. So that happened 3 times, but the motherfuckers couldn't tell me that I wasn't going to have any water.
Didn't affect them.
Right. So you can see the start my day was off to. But whatever. Water turned back on. I didn't want to get too ahead of myself, so I made sure to like make sure that there was hot water, which there was. Took my shower, got ready for work, hit the road, right? I get to my first stop and still, feeling a little icky, but just normal cold kind of stuff. And I'm looking around for my order and I don't see it. So I like do a little lap around the back room. This is I'm in a Kroger, by the way, just to give you an idea of where I was at. So it's a big store. And as I'm like making my way around the back, I run into the lady that runs the department. Wonderful lady named Stacy. She's a real straight shooter, if you will.
Not someone you would want to eat your ass.
What's that?
Not somebody that you would want to eat your ass.
No, that's a different Stacy. Ugh. No, I like this Stacy. She's great. Like I said, real straight shooter. Love the lady. Just love her. Anyway, I was just standing around in back talking to her, waiting for my order to get dropped. And I kind of felt a little lightheaded for a second. And I kind of saw a few spots, like when you stand up too fast sometimes. But it went away in like a couple seconds and I didn't think anything of it. Not that happens often at all, but it has happened on occasion. So I didn't think anything of it. So we're standing there talking and all of a sudden I start feeling it again. And I start seeing spots again.
I hate when that happens.
And there's a lot of spots. And
You sure you weren't just going blind?
I was not going blind. I did, however, pass out.
Oof. You didn't fall. Did you just at least have enough consciousness to like sit down?
I did not. So here's what happened. So I guess Stacy said that my face just kind of went blank and she was like, uh-oh, he's gonna go down. So I think she like bear hugged me. And
good old Stacy, what a bro.
Right? So broy. But yeah, she grabbed me and I did pass out for a second. And then I came to before she could like lay me down. So I wasn't out very long. But I just remember going from spots to me like stumbling around in a tiny circle. Like being very confused what was going on.
Okay.
And, yeah. And then Stacy being like, come on, you need to sit down. Come on, let me help you down. And then that's when she told me like what had happened. And then like another employee went and got me like a stool and she like called an ambulance. And yeah, so we were just sitting there talking for a while and I guess I got like bright red and was just like sweating like crazy. And then I wasn't red anymore. And then I just got freezing cold because I was like all wet and sweaty and not flush anymore. But EMS came, and this was all
we
very...
almost didn't have a new episode of the podcast. You almost fucking died.
Yeah, seriously. So EMS came, and all very dramatic here. They put me on a stretcher, but I was sitting up, and I got onto the stretcher myself under my own power. I will say that. So I get on the stretcher, and they've got me like propped up, and of course they have to like strap me in. But because I'm in the back room, they have to wheel me on the stretcher through the grocery store, which was probably the worst part of the experience, aside from, like potentially almost dying.
Bit embarrassing, maybe.
Yeah, it was a bit embarrassing. I really wish I had just been laying down. Because being propped up, I had to like look at everyone staring at me. So they get me out and they get me into the back of the ambulance, which is parked out front. And I don't know, they take all my vitals and my blood sugar, and they did an EKG, which I don't know if you've ever had one of those or no.
I never have.
Okay. They put all these little like stickers on you. That pick up like the the electrical impulses. But they are incredibly sticky. I did not realize exactly how sticky they were.
Mice got some bald patches.
Pretty much. I kind of thought it might be bad when the EMS guy was like, "I'm gonna try not to shave you." And all I was thinking was like, didn't think I was gonna be hearing that today. But he did not have to shave me, and just like slapped a few of them right on the chest hair, which was great. But no, everything checked out normal with EMS. All my vitals were fine. My heart rate was low, but that tends to be normal for me. Although that could potentially be something to look at. But he was like, I don't know, I can't tell you what to do, but I can take you to the ER. They'll probably just do blood work and let you go because they won't have the results. Or I'm confident letting you go now. He's like, but you're going to have to take the rest of the day off. And I was like, okay, cool. So one of my coworkers came and brought me a little snack. Because getting a little extra food in you is always good in those kind of situations.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I went home and I took it easy for the weekend. But ripping those stickers off was not fun. I did end up with a couple little bald spots.
Like a more extreme Band-Aid.
Yeah, pretty much. Almost a balance between like a Band-Aid and like chest wax or any type of hair wax product. Yeah, it was intense. So I took it easy for the weekend, and Monday I had to go in to that remember that clinic that we would send people to if they got hurt at World Market?
I do not. I don't think I ever had to do that.
Oh, I don't think I ever actually had to do that, but yeah, it was like this like clinic. It was like in the building kind of across the street from World Market. Anyway, they basically, I think they mostly just do like drug testing and whatever, like workers comp kind of things like that. But I had to go in there when I got my job to take a physical and take a drug test. But they needed me to go in there because this happened during work hours on
Right. Makes sense.
Like a customer's property. I had to go get cleared. So went in Monday morning, and this was a very, very basic physical. I mean, it was like vitals and reflexes and that good stuff. But yeah, everything checked out fine. Heart rate was low again. And I kind of like asked the doctor about it, and she's like, I mean, that's just how some people are. And I was like, all right. And I was like, what do you think it could be? And she's like, I don't know. You're in great shape. I don't know what to tell you. And kind of like threw her hands up. She's like, you said you were getting like a little bit sick and you were probably dehydrated. She's like, but, go to your doctor and, you can get checked out and get blood work. But she's like, I'm not seeing anything that indicates anything being wrong from your vitals. But yeah, feel free to go get checked out. So I got to get in and get some blood work done and make sure that low heart rate that I've always had is actually normal. Because basically every doctor's like, oh, that's low. And they're like, yeah, it's probably normal if it's always like that. Which sounds great, but if there's been like an underlying problem forever, that probably needs to get resolved. So, yeah.
I don't know that like one incident is indicative of an underlying problem.
No, I don't think it is. But I mean, if I've had a low heart rate all the time and I do have an incident now, I mean, if my heart rate drops, well, if anyone's heart rate drops too low, you can pass out. So there may be some cause for concern with that. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But I got to get into the doctor for the first time in like a decade because I'm a guy and I haven't gone to the doctor because I haven't felt bad.
Classic.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the scary. But yeah, I figured I'd just wait and let you know on the podcast about that little story. That's been, I don't know, a week and a half now.
Well, I hope you're not dying. That wouldn't be ideal.
Yeah.
Some could say it'd even be a bit cringe.
Yeah. Everybody I know seems to have their own opinion on what's wrong with me. So we'll see, we'll see what an actual doctor who, has like proper training says and not just, people who go on WebMD and tell me what they think is wrong with me.
That's the ideal experience.
Yeah. So that's that. I guess the funny, I'll go ahead and say that I'm going to believe him, but I know Mike does like to exaggerate. I hope he's not exaggerating. But over the weekend, my buddy Mike told me that he thought he saw that you had like a new video go up on YouTube.
You know what? Why don't I tell this one?
Okay. You go ahead and tell it. But I will start by saying he thought it was a recorded video that you had uploaded.
Yeah, so your buddy Mike, what was I playing? I think I was playing Neo or something like that. It was right at the beginning of the stream. I was doing like a little bit of like chatting, just talking to everybody, saying hello. And, just normal top of the stream stuff. When, everybody starts chatting in the chat, saying hello to me, telling me about their weeks, telling me about their days. And a message pops up from your buddy Mike
Now at this point, did you know this was him?
Yes, I knew it was him. I could see his name.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I don't even know. I wasn't even sure what his YouTube name is or anything like that. So
yeah, it's just his name.
Okay.
And
okay.
The message just says, "Show us your feet."
Yeah.
And I don't remember what I responded to that, but like a couple minutes later, he puts another message that says, "I didn't know this was live. Sorry, Mac." Which was really funny. And it was funny because I responded and I was like, "You don't have to apologize. That's pretty normal behavior from my chat. That's not really anything out of the ordinary."
Right. Yeah, your chat does get a little goofy sometimes.
They get a little rowdy.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was hilarious, and he did want me to bring that up, which I mean needed to get brought up, but I really hope that he honestly did think he was leaving a comment on an uploaded video and not live chat in a stream like he claims, but yeah.
I believe it, honestly, I do.
All right, awesome. Well, congrats, Mike. Your goof put a smile on our faces, so
I found that very funny. I thought it was so goofy.
Nice. And the final thing that I definitely needed to get to this week, it involves my boy. Well, I'll you know what? I still won't throw his name out there. It's my boy with the woman's shirt.
Yeah.
So I saw him a couple times after that episode, and I didn't bring it up, and I hadn't seen him wear it in a while, and I was like, you know what? It's probably fine. I'm just gonna let it go. But then I saw him wearing it, and I was like, oh God. I was like, all right, I got to bring it up to him now while he's wearing it. But I thought, like, okay, maybe that's better. You know, I can like point out that the buttons are on the opposite side, and that there's like, 8 buttons on the polo shirt, not, like 3. So I see him, and he, honestly, like before I could even say anything, he comes up to me and he's like, I think this might be a woman's shirt. He's like, I was like, oh yeah. He's like, yeah. Michelle told me she thinks it might be a woman's shirt. He's like, and I think she might be right. So this is the lady that runs that account. She's the Stacy of that store, or Stacy is the Michelle of her store that she's at. Either way. But yeah, so I was like, oh yeah, bro, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of noticed it, but I wasn't sure, and I didn't completely want to say anything, but yeah, I think it's a woman's shirt, man. And so we like went over like all of like the criteria, and as we're going through it, there's like basically nothing pointing out that this would be a man's shirt. And I was like even though we knew everything else, like, it's cut a little goofy, and the buttons and all that, and the color and the material, I was like, what size is that? And he's like, it's an extra large.
Yeah.
And granted, dude's like, I don't know, probably like 6'3", at least, I'd say. He's a tall dude, but he doesn't have a lot of girth to him. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I know like some polos run small. I was like, but usually any of those like company branded swag shirts that they give out to us, they usually use like a good quality polo shirt. And so they'll buy like the ones from like an actual like golf company, like Callaway or like TaylorMade or Adidas or something like that.
Gildan.
Yeah, and they're like they're always cut extra big. So you can like swing a golf club without it coming untucked. And he's like, yeah. He's like, this is like a Callaway. He's like, I think it's an extra large. And he like, you know, like does the thing where he like grabs the neck to like look at the size. He's like, yeah, man, it's an extra large. And I was like, yeah, that's definitely a woman's shirt, man. He's like, yeah. He's like, usually like a large is like pretty big on me. And I was like, yeah. That's why that extra large is like normal sized on you. So he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go home and see what my wife says. And he's like, dude, he's like, I've worn this polo shirt to our GSMs, which it stands for General Sales Meeting, which like usually means like almost everyone in the area for our respective companies gathers together for a meeting. So he wore it to like his company sales meeting. He's like, dude, I wore this shirt to parties.
No.
Yeah. And he's like, I mean, it's whatever. Like, it obviously didn't. I told you, like, he's definitely very comfortable with who he is. And so that's another reason why I didn't think it was a big deal talking about it. But he didn't feel the need to like go and immediately like buy a new shirt to change into, because we were at a store that we were at Meijer. They sell shirts. He could have just bought a new shirt if he felt that uncomfortable about it. But no, he took it like a bro, and he at least wore it the rest of the time he was there. And he was like, yeah, so I'm going to be real curious to see what my wife has to say when I bring it up to her. And so I was super excited. So I ended up seeing him same spot the next day. We usually see each other a couple days a week in this Meijer. And I was like, so what'd your wife have to say? And he's like, she was just like, oh, yeah, I think you're probably right. And just like blew it off. And he was like, I mean, she was like busy with like the baby and stuff, but he's like, I was kind of expecting a bigger response. He's like, I was kind of a little bit disappointed. So that's the saga of the woman's polo shirt.
Came to a pretty good ending, honestly.
Yeah, it was like less eventful, but I like the way that it happened. Apparently if there's any sort of unresolved issue, I just need to bring it up on the podcast, and it apparently gets resolved by the next episode, because that happened with that the sticker that I put on Ken's car.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, same to you. If you got anything unresolved that just sitting around, we might have to start bringing those up.
You got like 4 hours to talk about my childhood.
Yeah, something like that. Well, now that I've thoroughly and utterly dominated the first half of the podcast, Mac, what would you like to talk about?
These
what?
These nuts.
Oh,
got him. Got him. No,
Oh.
it's you know what? I'd like to talk about the job a little bit because it's been really good. I'm really liking it.
Yeah, let's hear it, man.
I know I talked about this a little bit last week, but it's or not last week, last episode, but it's really interesting all the ways that it's different. It's just it's so it's so weird to work for a company that genuinely respects the people that work for it.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes,
mean? That's very weird, right?
Yeah, yeah. I agree. It's definitely nice. I'm not trying to hijack your story, but just real quick, like along with that, I've told you before, like I work for a fairly small, like family owned company, and it's really, really nice. Like, you know, just like seeing the owners at meetings and, getting
Yeah.
like, we appreciate you, like, thank you emails and, like, just, they'll like send us a gift card every year for Thanksgiving, like a grocery store gift card that's like, here, go buy a turkey on us. Um, that kind of thing is super nice. So I'm glad you're getting to experience that because it was new for me too.
Yeah, it's really interesting. One thing that was interesting right off the bat, um, every week we have an all company meeting. It's done. They used to do it in person, I guess, but now that it's done like through a video call, just started as pandemic, but it's just easier with the amount of people working for the company. Um, and where they're very transparent about like how the company's doing, like financially, and like things we're working on, stuff like that. And during that call, they go over all of the KPIs, which for anyone who doesn't work in, I'm not sure how many fields use it, but a KPI stands for key performance indicators. It's essentially, it's the most important metrics that you're measuring for whatever team you might be working on, whatever story you might be working on to, get an idea of where you're at.
Sure.
Right? And so we have, the normal KPIs that one would expect, sales and shrink and stuff like that. But there's also a KPI, and it's linked to an email that goes out twice a week. Twice a week, they send out an email with like a Google form that you fill out, and they'll get responses to this, and they have someone who manages it and manages those responses and gets an idea of where we're at. And it is a KPI for how much fun we are having.
What?
Yeah, it's like the Google form will ask you like how fun was your week on like a scale of 1 to 10, and it'll ask you like what things happened this week that were really fun for you. What things do you expect to happen in the next week that you think will be fun? If you aren't having a fun week, tell us about what we could be doing better, or if there's something that, maybe made it less fun that we could be doing differently, stuff like that.
Now when they ask like, are you having a fun week? They're specifying at work.
Yes, at work.
Wow. I mean, either way, that would be awesome. Just them checking on your well-being in general, but them wanting you to have an enjoyable time at work is pretty awesome.
Right, and it's like something they're measuring and like have goals for. It's like our goal is like an 8 out of 10. And if we don't hit like an 8 out of 10, they talk about what they could be doing differently to make work more fun. Stuff like that.
Wow. And, that is
right? Yeah.
That is really cool.
That's really cool. And one of the things that we're talking about right now, because someone brought it up on, and again, like this is one of those things that I am not used to. Like you bring a suggestion to your company and they genuinely talk about it and consider it and possibly put changes in place. One of the things that we're talking about right now that keeps popping up on our fun KPI is the idea of possibly switching to 4-day work weeks. Okay. And it'd be one of those things where it's like, you're still working the same number of hours, it'd be like 4 days of 10-hour days instead of 5 days of 8, which is something that I, for years, have been saying I would love to do. So if it comes to be a thing, I'll be very happy. But it's so interesting because, you know, with companies I've worked for in the past, you'd get some generic corporate response that's like, oh, well, that would be a great idea. There's just no way it can make it work with our business model or with our customers, that kind of thing. But no, they're like setting aside time during our weekly call to talk about it. And like, you know, they're being like, you know, the response is essentially, we're not against this. We just want to make sure that we see all the pros and cons and maybe do some test runs of it before we fully commit to it. And like my manager is like volunteering our team to be like, hey, we could be like a pilot for this 4-day work week, because the way that our department works, the work just needs to get done. The amount of days or the amount of hours we're there doesn't really change anything. It just needs to get done. So if we were to switch to a 4-day work week, it wouldn't really impact the way that we work that much.
Right. Huh. Yeah, that would be cool to test out. I know just in terms of like kind of non-traditional 40-hour weeks, it was always crazy when we worked like consecutive weeks of overnights at World Market, because like when we do it at Holiday, I don't know, did you do multiple weeks of overnights in a row, or was that not ever a thing for you?
Not multiple weeks, because by the time I was like over that kind of thing, we had like the system down to where they'd like get it done in like 4 or 5 days.
Okay. Well, when I first started out there, you know, I was a stock associate. So at Christmas, we ran overnights for like 2 months straight. And that was always goofy because they would give us our weekend off. Like we would have 2 consecutive days off, but we would get out of work at like 6:30, like Friday morning, and then wouldn't go back until like 10 o'clock Sunday night. So technically there was only like one like day on the calendar when we weren't there, but we almost had like 3 full days in a row off. It was kind of cool. But
I
again,
personally feel that like having that one and as part of like this discussion, there have been people doing research on it and bringing statistics to the table. Like one of the guys in my department talked about how found like some research behind it that's like, when you do 4 10-hour workdays, efficiency goes up because there's less time spent like starting or ending work, and people come back feeling much more refreshed and feeling like they had an actual break. And for me, like that's a big part of it. Like working the extra 2 hours a day, you know, it would suck a little bit, but having an extra full day of no work, and especially having 1 day a week where you didn't work the day before and you don't work the next day, that just sounds amazing, you know?
Right. Yeah, because I mean, you know, weekends off are great. Don't get me wrong. I do not want to trade weekends off for a variable schedule again.
Never again.
No, but like, you know, you like adapt to what your schedule's like. And so now it's like, okay, I have 2 consecutive days off, but like usually one of those is like crap I don't want to do but have to do, and then I have 1 day to actually do just whatever I feel like. At least that's how it feels for me. You know, like one weekend day, like this last weekend, I had to go get an oil change and, you know, stop at the grocery store and stuff like, you know, whatever. I try and knock all of that stuff out in 1 day so that I have the other day to just do whatever I want, whether that's nothing or something or whatever it is. I have that time to like use it how I will on things I want to do, not things I have to do.
Right. I gotcha. I just personally feel that it would work better for me and the kind of person that I am, because I don't necessarily care about it's one of those things where like a day worked does not feel like a day that is yours because you end up with so little free time. You know, you have to spend an hour or so every morning getting ready for work, and then like an hour after work kind of decompressing before you can just feel like you're not at work anymore. And with what little time is left, like I don't feel like I get as much work done on like my videos, for example, on a day that I've worked as I do on a day that I haven't worked. And even though theoretically I'm putting in the same amount of hours, I don't feel like I get as much work done. So for me, losing a little bit more time on those days that I work wouldn't really matter because that already doesn't feel like a day that's mine. That's a work day, you know? So having like that one extra day a week that is mine, and it's like it's like a numbers thing too. It's like having 3 out of 7 days of the week off sounds so much more than 2 out of 7, you know?
Yeah.
It's like half the week that you're not working.
Right. For sure.
So that's something that everybody in my department is for, and I'm very for as well. So if we do end up being the pilots for that, I'll be pleased. And especially if it actually ends up going through and becoming a thing, I'll be very pleased.
Nice.
Unless it turns out that I hate it. You never know.
Yeah. No, I gotcha. But yeah, I get what you mean. Like a day worked does not seem like I feel like if I'm working, like there isn't a whole lot else I can get accomplished.
Right.
And I guess it's a little different now. That was like a bigger issue for me when we'd have like closing shifts. Like, you know, we wouldn't have to go in until 2:00, but
it feels like the entire day is leading up to that point. Like you're just thinking about it the entire time. It like ruins the morning.
Yeah, and if you did anything in the morning, you were like, wow, all right, I've accomplished quite a bit today. And then you're like, oh shit, I still have my entire shift ahead of me.
Right. Yeah, no, it sucked. I was not a fan of closing shifts.
Yeah, and like even now, like I'm fine doing things after work. You know, it's whatever. Especially like groceries. I know I've mentioned this before, but I mean, being in grocery stores almost every day to end my day, I just grab something and go, you know, rather than spend, you know, an hour or hour and a half a week just wandering through a grocery store. You know, just knock out a little bit every day. But yeah, I can do things like after work, but before work is no bueno. I don't know how people like can like get up and go to the gym before they go to work. I know that's like a thing.
Oh God, yeah, that sounds horrible.
And like, granted, I mean, going to the gym after work also isn't super ideal because, I mean, at least for me, like, I'm usually like ready to eat something by the time I'm done. And then, you know, you don't want to be like all like amped up and energetic when it's like time to go to bed. So, I mean, that's not ideal either. I do like working out in the morning, but I wouldn't do that before I went to work. It would not only be mentally taxing on my day, but like I would have to get up so much earlier. I'd have to get up like at least another hour earlier than I do now. And I do like that I've trained myself to be a person that wakes up earlier in the day rather than later. But at some point, like, you stop being productive by getting up earlier and earlier unless you're required to. Because then you just have to go to bed earlier and earlier. You're just like, you know, you're just adjusting your time clock. You're not really being that much more productive with your day. You're just
absolutely.
You're just doing it at different times. So,
yeah, people, whenever I would tell people that I worked like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. while I was working at Whole Foods, they'd always be like, "Oh man, how can you get up that early?" And it's like it didn't feel early to me because I was going to bed early because I needed to do that to maintain a proper sleep schedule. You know, my schedule was just shifted compared to them. Like my getting up at 4 a.m. was their getting up at 7 a.m. It didn't really change anything for me.
Right. They're going on the assumption, they're kind of probably looking at it like,
they're looking at it as if they had to get up at 4 a.m., which for them would be like getting up super early and would like completely fuck up their sleep and all this stuff. And it's like, no, I'm doing this every day. My sleep schedule has been shifted accordingly.
right. Like if you're used to getting up at say 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, and all of a sudden one day you've got to get up at like 4 or 5.
Yeah, that's going to fucking suck.
Yeah, it fucking sucks. Because even if you tried to go to bed early, you probably weren't tired and probably didn't fall asleep right away. Because you're not used to it. You weren't tired. You haven't been awake long enough. And part of you was probably like, oh shit, I gotta fall asleep now or else I'm not gonna get any sleep tonight.
And then that just makes it worse.
Right, it does. So yeah, doing it one day fucking sucks. But when it's the same time that you get up every day, it doesn't matter what time it is. It's just the time of day you happen to get up.
Right.
Yeah. Now, if you got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and you stayed up until midnight every day, then yeah, that'd be like, holy shit, I don't know how you do that.
Right.
And sometimes I would do that Monday through Friday when we'd have truck days, but then I'd sleep on weekends and I was also an idiot and just didn't sleep. So that was my fault.
I was always really good about it. You know, when I was on overnights, I would really shift my sleep schedule accordingly. I didn't, because I didn't like the closing idea of like, oh, I'm looking forward to work all day. I didn't tend to, you know, I didn't tend to like have an entire day before going in at 10 for the overnight. I would shift my sleep schedule so I was getting up at like 9 o'clock, and then I'd spend the rest of the day after the overnight, which was a weird thing to do, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, like I said, having to do it during Christmas when I was a stock associate, you know, that was like beginning of November through probably like first or second week of January as we like wrapped up, you know, like tearing down all the Christmas stuff, and you know, they'd have us do other crap, set up new shop sets for the next week or whatever. But it was 2 solid months of it. And yeah, Fridays were always really weird because I would flip my sleep schedule back to days for the weekend. So I'd either like get out of work 6:30 Friday morning and just stay up all day and go to bed that night and try and get myself back on days. Or I would, I'd get a little nap for like 2 or 3 hours and then stay awake because I didn't want to be up all night, you know, with nothing to do all weekend because, you know, I'm just up by myself at 3 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, Sundays kind of sucked because then you're either having to like sleep all day and wake up right before, or just be tired as shit Monday morning when you get out of that Sunday night shift.
right.
But I would do it because I wanted to have a weekend, and yeah, kind of sucked.
Yeah,
But
and it's kind of the same deal now. Like my schedule, I'm working more human hours now. I work 8 to 4, and instead of 6 to 2, and I don't really notice a huge difference because I had already adjusted to that.
yeah,
The only real the only real difference I notice is that there's a lot more people out at 8 a.m. than 6 a.m.
yeah, that's definitely going to be a thing. Oh, geez. One thing that I thought was kind of funny about my my little episode that I had, It's funny after my dad explained it to me, because I was telling my dad the story of what happened, and obviously, like, he was all worried and everything, as you would expect. And I told him, like, yeah, like, one of the other sales reps, she came by and she was like, here, I've got if you want some food, I've got like a protein bar and a water. And I was like, oh God, that would be awesome. Like, any food would be great. And she's like, and I have this half a loaf of bread, which it was like a loaf from like Zingerman's. It was like really good. Like a really good like loaf. It was tiny. It was like a large roll, I guess I would say, not a loaf of bread. But like, I'm telling my dad this story and I'm like telling him, like, describing like how amazing this loaf of bread is. And he's like, how old is she? And I was like, she's like a year or two older than me. I don't know. She's like, we're about the same age. Why? And he's like, that makes sense. He's like, it's got to be a generational thing. He's like, protein bars and waters. He's like, that seems like the kind of crap you guys would have in your car at all times. And I was like,
okay, don't gotta bring out the generation card, Dad.
Well, I mean, he's not wrong. After he said it, I was like, yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense. Like, because we're not like have a case of like Coca-Cola in the back seat and, a bag of Chips Ahoy at all times. I mean, maybe we do sometimes, but, like, we've obviously seen like a decline in like the drinking of pop/soda over the last like few decades. So I don't know. I just thought it was kind of funny. He wasn't wrong, and he wasn't stereotyping the generation in a bad way, but I like that he picked up on that. I thought that was good.
What do you, if you were to imagine for a second, what do you think food and beverage I would have in my car right now?
Oh God.
Now, mind you, I don't have anything in my car right now, but what do you think I would have in my car?
I mean, knowing what I know about you and what I have previously known your diet to be like, I don't think you drink it anymore, but I would say like G Fuel and a bag of candy would be your like go-to car snacks.
Yeah, I haven't had a G Fuel in like 2 years, but not a bad guess. And candy, that's a good guess.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with candy. I mean, if you could like sustain a cheesecake in edible format, I'm sure that would probably be your car snack. But unless it's those chilly winter days, I don't know that a cheesecake in the car is the best idea.
Now, I will say that I feel that I've been eating much healthier since I started at my new job.
Really?
Yeah, because working at Whole Foods, I had this whole fucking selection on the hot bar whenever I wanted, or there was a cake case that I could eat out of for lunch every day, and that's generally what I would have my lunch be.
Right. You're a big cake eater.
But since I started at this new job, I'm like, man, I don't have food as readily available in this office, and I don't want to be eating out every day because that shit gets expensive. So I've gotten in the habit of meal prepping. I'll make like 4 meals worth of food, and then just one day a week I'll go out to eat or something.
Nice.
And the foods I've been prepping have been pretty good in general. Like this last week I had chicken, bell peppers, red cabbage, mashed carrots, and rice in sweet chili and soy sauce, and it was really good.
Wow, that's like more vegetables than I thought you consumed.
The recipe called for them.
Okay, right on. Real quick, I didn't mean this intentionally. It came out as literal. You are a literal cake eater, but For anyone who's a fan of the Mighty Ducks movies, I called you a cake eater by mistake. So I apologize for that, Mac. You are not a cake eater.
I have not seen the Mighty Ducks in a long enough time that I have no fucking clue what you're talking about.
It's fine. I guess that's just for all my fellow boomers listening that grew up on Mighty Ducks and D2.
I'm assuming it means someone who eats ass.
No.
In which case, fair enough, bro. Fair enough.
That was not the Mighty Ducks definition of a cake eater. Oh God, no.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. That I think that was a different movie that you saw.
I think that was called The Mighty Fucks.
Oh, I was thinking The Mighty Dicks.
That's a good one too.
Oh God, that was the porn version of it. Oh God, that went off the rails real quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've also been in the habit of I've always been a big tea drinker, but I kind of like go through phases with it where like sometimes I drink a lot of tea and sometimes I don't touch it for a while. Since I've started at this new job, I've got like a consistent space that is just my own. I like brought some tea to work and I make myself a mug of tea every day. So, you know, that's not necessarily like healthier per se, but a lot of teas have a lot of health benefits. So
yeah. No, I mean, tea isn't really unhealthy. So it's definitely healthier than not. So good on you, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I guess you just said that like Kate or candy would be a good guess, but what would your car snacks be? Food and drink.
I probably would go with some kind of candy. I'm not really sure what kind. It's probably something chewy. I love me some chewy candy on a road trip or just in the car.
Okay.
Drink wise, what do I usually get? I guess I usually just get like a Sprite.
Okay.
Sprite is probably the soda that I drink the most, so.
Okay. Is that the liquid that you drink the most, you think?
No, I would say water is the liquid that I drink the most.
Okay, so I mean your car snacks could be candy and water, which is kind of a funny combination, but
I mean, yeah, I am pretty good about my water consumption. I'm most like, aside from my mug of tea, I only drink water at work, and then I always drink at least a full glass of water at home.
Nice. Yeah, I tend to have car snacks, and mine aren't too far off from from my coworkers. I usually have like bags of like almonds or like peanuts or something, and maybe a couple of protein bars in there. I may have like a pre-measured like dose of protein powder in like a Ziploc bag in my glove box or my center console.
Jesus.
Along with the rest of my emergency stash. So my actually just this got brought up with my boy Brian the other day. I completely forgot about it when I needed it, but it was fine because our girl Jack, she came to the rescue. But I keep like some sort of snack in my glove box, not in my console. My console are the ones that I like actually eat when I like want a snack. Glove box is like, oh crap, I have nothing else to eat for snacks and I don't feel like stopping for anything.
It's a jar of fucking sauerkraut, right?
Pretty much. No, they actually they sound better than they look. Probably like once a month, my apartment complex does what they call breakfast on the go. And you just like drive up and they like hand you a brown paper bag with stuff in it. And it's usually like an apple and like a granola bar and like a little can of like apple juice or orange juice. And then they'll have some sort of like shelf stable baked good in there, like a pack of donuts, or the last time they were chocolate chip muffins. And I was like, oh, I should keep these in case I need them. And I threw them in my glove box, and they've been in there for like 2 months now. But
Okay.
I keep those, and then I keep I keep a box of Band-Aids in case I cut myself. And
your car is much more like emergency prepared than my house.
Yeah. Although it's kind of funny, I don't think I actually have Band-Aids in my home now that I think about it. But
Luna gave me a bad scratch a couple weeks ago, and I realized I didn't have Band-Aids, so that was just kind of awkward.
Yeah. I remember one time I cut myself, and I was looking for Band-Aids, and all I could find were like, because I had like a box of like the assorted ones. So all I could find were like the little like tiny circles, or like the butterfly bandages to like keep a wound closed. And I was like, that's not going to work. But I found some gauze and some medical tape and just like wrapped it around my finger for a few minutes, and it stopped it. But
yeah, I just did paper towel and tape.
Yeah, exactly. Band-Aids are less important when you're at home. When you're on the road or out somewhere where you might not have access to Band-Aids or even something you could use as a Band-Aid, it's better to have them. So one day I cut myself, I just bought a box and I keep it in the car. And if I'm home, I can always run out to the car and just grab one. So it's better to keep them out there. And Brian thought this was super funny because I was telling him about my emergency kit, which also has 2 tampons in it in case of nosebleed.
Nice.
Yeah, and they're different sizes too, depending on how bad the nosebleed is.
Poggin, man.
That actually wasn't intentional. I don't know. I acquired them somewhere. They were like, actually, I might have grabbed them from Whole Foods, to be honest. Because I think I told you that one time how they have like a box of tampons sitting on the counter in the men's room. And I was like,
I don't think you should have taken those.
I took one, okay? I didn't take the box.
But all right.
Okay, they replaced them. It's like I took like an extra couple paper towels. It's not that big of a deal.
Are you sure it wasn't left there by somebody?
No, it was an open box, and it's there every time. Because I find myself in Whole Foods probably 2 to 3 times a month now. And there's always a box of tampons and like panty liners with the top of the box cut off of both of them sitting on the counter next to the sink.
All right.
At both Whole Foods locations.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I mean, whatever. Anyway, even if it's that big of a deal, I'm not too concerned about it. I'll leave a quarter on the counter next time I stop in there. Reimburse them,
Well, anyway, I know we're kind of at the end here, but your talk about breakfast foods made me think of something that I don't think I've ever told on the podcast. When I worked at,
my gosh. All right. When you're done with this, I got one more thing to bring up. Go ahead.
When I worked at summer camp, we would have these breakfasts, and mind you, it's a Boy Scout summer camp. It's not very well funded. The food we got in general, but especially for breakfast, was fucking terrible. We had one day a week that was waffle day, and every day that week I would just skip breakfast because the waffles were terrible. They legitimately had the consistency of like a hardened styrofoam used for packing. They were fucking horrible.
Oh,
But there was one of the breakfast things that was not disgusting that me and my camp friends will frequently fondly bring up and say that we miss, and it was a breakfast corn dog, which was like a sausage in the middle, and the corn dog is made of like pancake batter, and they were fucking awesome.
I have heard about those. I think I want to say like, I don't know, like Jimmy Dean or like Bob Evans. I don't know if they still do. They used to like sell them in like the freezer section of the grocery store from what I've been told, but I think they've been since discontinued.
They're fucking great. They were a good way to start the morning. Unhealthy maybe, but a good way to start the morning.
That sounds incredible, especially if you like dipped it in like
maple syrup.
Yeah, man.
We would do that.
Oh shit! And if that came with like a McDonald's style hash brown to go with it, that would be a killer fucking breakfast.
We didn't have that, but yeah, no, they were great. They were. That was like most of the breakfasts I would either skip or eat begrudgingly, but those I got excited about.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would have also been excited for that. I'm not gonna lie. I might have to try and make that one of these days. You could totally make those yourself.
Oh, definitely.
Huh. That might be a little weekend project one of these weekends. But no, this over the weekend I had something similar happen to something that happened to you that you have previously mentioned on the podcast. And I completely forgot about it and forgot to make a note, but you reminded me of it. This was Sunday. I like I said, I went out to get an oil change, and before I went, I took Lily out, and outside of the door to get into the building, there was a bag of McDonald's.
Yes.
And a drink. And I'm not gonna lie, I definitely like peeked at the bag. There was no like marking for what address it was for. Because I may or may not have stepped on it if it had belonged to the apartment above me. They've been incredibly horrible. But there was no marking, so I didn't want to fuck up somebody else's day. I'm not a monster. But so I took Lily out and brought her back in, and it was like another like 10-15 minutes before I was ready to leave, and I looked and it was still there, which, I mean, if it's like a normal package, that's no big deal, but considering it's like a food delivery, like generally people get those like right away.
Right.
But it was still there, and so I went out and got my oil changed and had to stop at the store, and a couple stores actually. And, I was gone probably, I don't know, 2.5, 3 hours. And I come back, and at this point, someone had moved it inside of the building.
That's exactly what happened to me.
Yes. And I love that about my building. Like, all the neighbors, except for the shithole people who live above me, are awesome. Like, we all bring packages in from outside so they don't get stolen. Like I think I said before, like if it's like one of the units on my floor, I'll like hand carry it and just leave it at their doorstep. Yeah, I came home like whatever hours later and it was still there. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, I almost want to take it at this point because it's been so long. Like,
just go for it, man.
Yeah, but I didn't, and then it was gone in the morning. So I don't know. Yeah, I was kind of curious. I should have grabbed it just to see what was in it, but
you missed out on days old McDonald's. How will you ever recover?
I know. For like a split second, I was like, oh my God, I'm literally living Mack's exact life right now.
You are, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was it. There was no real great outcome, but it was very similar. It sat for hours, a few hours outside and a few hours inside. So, yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah. That's all I got, man.
All right. Fun episode. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.